represented here today, with a minor in computer engineering and sustainable manufacturing. Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And you work in Pleasanton right now?
Yeah, I currently work in Pleasanton. Actually, our office just transferred from San Ramon to Pleasanton at the beginning of the year.
And are you in the office? Is that?
I am in the office, yeah. So behind me, you can see the robots that I work on.
Cool. Tell us about that.
So these are 6-axis collaborative robots. They're basically meant to interact in close proximity with humans. You can see that there's no cages or cells or any other safety systems around the robot. So it's made to really just kind of get up close, and you can program very easily. There's a couple buttons on the side that allow you to just make points, take another point, and then you can easily make like pick and place programs. It's a really neat system that's been big in the market in the past couple of years. Collaborative robots are really kind of the newest thing on the scene.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So tell us, so I was asking our previous two speakers to tell us sort of their pathway from Cabrillo to their 4-year college, and then where they are today, and a little bit more about like what you do as an engineer today too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually came back to Cabrillo after time off of school. I actually didn't get a degree right out of high school. I went to Cabrillo for a couple of years, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, went into the business market, ended up in financing, and did that for almost a decade. Then the real estate market crashed, and I wanted to find something to do. I wasn't really enamored with financing in the first place, so I had always actually put myself through college the first time as a residential handyman. So I've always liked building, always been in construction, hands-on type of thing. And when the real estate market fell out, I had to look for something new. So it took me maybe about 12 to 18 months to figure that out. I decided, I really need a degree. There's nothing you can do. I didn't want to do sales anymore. It's about the only thing you can do and make a lot of money without a degree is sales. Decided I didn't want to do that. Always liked being hands-on, always liked the mechanical side of things. And looking forward into the future, knowing that this is going to be kind of a longer process for me, it's going to take me a while. I had to look at where the job's going to be. So I kind of just had a gut feeling. I knew that industry is coming back to the country, that robotics is going to be huge. Robotic automation is going to be like basically the thing that reinvigorates manufacturing in this country. So I knew that's where I wanted to head toward. Actually, Johnny, I was originally thinking about going to UCSC because I know I had looked a lot about their robotics program, and they were doing really cool stuff with exoskeletons, and I was like, oh man, this is the really cool place to be. But those industries are really niche and they're really small, right? Industrial automation is so much larger. So one of the reasons I chose Chico was because I had been at Cabrillo a couple years. I had to go and do all my my math, my physics, and stuff like that. And to go to UCSC, I would have had to take one more year at Cabrillo to satisfy more computer science requirements. So Chico State is more mechatronic and manufacturing based. They were ready to take me. It's a great school. It's one of the few schools in the country, and I think the only one west of the Mississippi still that has an APET accreditation for mechatronic engineering.
Right.
They're a really good mechatronic program, been around for a while, and I heard about that, so I decided to go up there instead of Santa Cruz or San Jose State, like the first speaker. I have some friends that went to San Jose State from Cabrillo, and all really, really great schools. So I actually grew up in Boulder Creek, grew up in Santa Cruz Mountains, went to SLB High, and then went to Cabrillo for a couple years before I got into business, came back to Cabrillo, and then went to Chico State. Like I said, I knew robotics is what I wanted to be into, so a mechatronic program is what I was looking for. Chico was relatively close, still in California, less expensive than some of the other options. I only have a few $1,000s in student debt after going to Chico, so it's really great.
Did you happen to work while you were going to school all this time, or did you completely devote yourself to school?
So I mostly completely devoted myself to school.
Okay.
I was able to, get a roommate, live very inexpensively, get some student loans and some scholarship money, and I didn't have to work.
Okay.
Right? But I did. My first summer at Chico State, I also did an internship at Flex Racing Shocks, actually in Scotts Valley.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Not the same thing that Johnny did, but I was in their machine shop, machine tending on their bicycle shock parts. And it was a really
Wow.
great, yeah, it was a really great experience. It made me realize, this is the great thing about internships, is they're short term. You can really, get into a diverse area and realize, hey, this is something I really enjoy. I really want to do this, or this is not something I enjoy as much as I thought I would. I want to look somewhere else. So I knew after that summer, I didn't want to work in a machine shop. I didn't like the hours. I didn't like the schedule. It was just not for me. Which was a great learning experience. So the second semester, I actually was able to get a job at Chico State on campus in their metal foundry, and I was casting aluminum for that summer.
Oh,
Which was
wow.
huge, huge fun. I was kind of leading production, a small production group there.
And then you're now at Omron Robotics. Is that where you went right after graduating?
So not right after. A lot of my friends put out resumes to 50, 100 different companies. I didn't. I focused smaller. Like Johnny, I networked. It's really about who you know. So we had our senior project fair. We had a guy come up, right? A guy that works in Milpitas as a motion control company, very small company, very small startup. He came up and he did a presentation to one of our classes on his motion controllers. It was my last semester there was a motion control class. And I started talking to him after class. I went up and I thanked him. I was one of the only persons out of a class of 40 people that went up and actually shook his hand afterwards and said, thank you. I got his contact info. We stayed in touch. I invited him to our senior fair. He did an interview with me that day and then hired me the next day. And so I graduated with the job offer already in hand. I worked for about 5 months in a small startup as a team of about me and three other people, which was just a little too small for me. I was wearing too many hats and things weren't, systematized like I wanted it to. So I was able, again, through networking, I knew I had made friends with people at Chico, who were roommates with people that worked at Omron and knew that I was looking for a job, knew that Omron was hiring. And so they put me in contact with one of the hiring managers and it went smoothly and I got hired a few weeks later. So like Johnny said, it's really about networking, getting out there, being on LinkedIn, knowing people, knowing your teachers, and knowing other students, especially the students of the class before you. Like if you're going to graduate this year or this fall, and the people that graduated last spring, they're in position now to get other people into that company, right? And so when I first came on, I had a friend, same situation. I graduated in the spring, he graduated in the fall. As soon as I got on, I knew which jobs they were looking for, which positions they were looking to fill. I contacted everybody I knew at Chico State and said, hey, send me your resume. I'll send it to my hiring manager. And I was able to get one of my friends hired. Got a nice little sign-on bonus for him and for me for that. So
Wow.
knowing the people that are graduating one semester before you or 1 year before you is really, really good way to go. And then keeping in touch with those people because they'll be a great resource.
How long have you been at Omron?
So it'll be 2 years this December.
Okay. And are those robotic arms behind you? Is that your project?
Yeah. So I work, I do what's called sustaining engineering. I support a product that Omron contracts with another company out of Taiwan to develop this robot. And we have about, I think, 6-7 sales regions around the world. And so they all need support, application support. I also do bug testing, application development, a number of different things on this robot. And then I'm actually we had a little reorganization recently. I won't bore you with the details, but I'm transferred to another team and I've been introduced to the rest of the robots that Omron makes. And so in addition to the 6-axis collaborative robot behind me, I'll be working on SCAR robots and some parallel link Delta style robots as well.
So is your work very hands-on, basically?
Very hands-on, yeah. Okay. And very different. Today I was drilling holes out for a mounting plate and doing some wiring. And, before that I was doing some SolidWorks design. Tomorrow I'm going to do a bunch of testing on these robots behind me. So I'll be doing software programming, attaching hardware, working with sensors and stuff like that. So what I really like about it is the variation in day to day. You know, it's not coming in like a big company, like Johnny said, like at Apple or Google. You might have a really specialized niche, right? You might come in, you might find, oh, I do the same thing every day.
Right.
A medium-sized company, like now a small company, like a startup, you'll be doing everything, right? But a medium-sized company, you have the flexibility, you have the stability to get into a niche if you want to, but the flexibility to realize, hey, that team over there, I really like what they're doing. I want to do that too. And the flexibility with management at Omron, at least, to explore other areas, explore other teams, and do other things. So you're not locked into one thing the rest of your life, right? Omron likes to keep people, and they want to make people happy. So having a medium-sized company like this, I think is really a nice balance between doing a bunch of different things and not getting bored, but having the stability of a larger company that the small startup can't give you.
Does Omron continue to provide you training of any sort, like a professional training?
Yeah, they do. We have a lot of product training because we have a lot of different products. You know, a lot of people might know Omron from the health and safety division, but they're also the health division, and they're also a safety company. So we have a lot of safety products like laser scanners, area scanners, light curtains, doormats, things like that, and robotics as well. Not only fixed robotics, but mobile robots too. So yeah, there's a lot of learning that goes on, a lot of training that goes on. If I wanted to take a class, say, I probably could ask management, like, hey, I want to take this class. This is what I think it's going to, this is how I think it's going to benefit me and already benefit the company. And so I could probably get them to pay for that, or maybe split the cost with me like that or something.
Oh, that's great. We are also running out of time again. So I want to make sure that students have a chance to ask you some questions too. Does anyone have any questions for Aaron?
No, I have a question for all of you. So this is engineering 5, so it's probably their first semester at Cabrillo. Maybe not, but if you guys have not found out yet, Cabrillo has a robotics club. I actually founded that club back in 2009. So I was the originator of that club. And the reason I did so is because I was starting to come back to Cabrillo to do my math and physics. By the way, Carlos, Marcus, Joanne, Karen, Kelly, the physics department and the engineering department at Cabrillo is so dynamite. You're actually learning at a level that's like a second or third year, 4-year degree level, right? So you'll come to Chico State as a transfer, and or not just Chico State, but any college, right? Engineering is typically a 5-year degree, so you'll come in as probably a sophomore, but you'll have more skills and you'll be more prepared than some of the juniors, right? So I absolutely cannot say enough about how good Cabrillo's teaching system is and their professors.
You were going to ask them a question. What is your question?
I was going to say, if you do not know about the Cabrillo Robotics Club, go to it. So I was going to ask them if they knew about the Cabrillo Robotics Club. So like I was saying, the reason I started that was because I came into Cabrillo knowing I wanted to get into robotics, but knowing absolutely zero about robotics, okay, coming from business. So I thought, well, how can I learn about robotics? Well, how about I get this school to use their money to buy me parts and a bunch of other people, and we'll teach ourselves and then teach each other, right? So if there's something that you find that you want, use the resources, look around. Like Johnny said, be friends with your teachers. I know it seems kind of weird, especially if you're a little bit younger, just out of high school, like, oh, teachers, I don't want to be friends with them, but they are an invaluable resource, right? Get on a club. Really quickly, if I could share, I know we're running out of time, but
that's okay.
Screen share go.
And while you're doing that, so did you compete in FIRST Robotics, FRC?
I did not compete in FIRST Robotics, but I did. I was on a team, and shoot, is there a? How do I share my screen?
It's a green share screen, but you might have to expand your window.
There we go. So I wanted to show you guys some pictures real quick. This is the Baja racing team I was on. So even though I did robotics, I actually for 3 years was on a team that built and raced a single-seat off-road vehicle against 100 other teams from around the world.
We can't see it. Can you try sharing again?
Yeah, I just have to. Oops, I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Go. Yeah. Cool.
So you should see a racing trailer here. So this is the vehicle that we built. I designed the suspension. All these white parts you see here. And the experience I got with this, and the hands-on experience, and the introduction to like Volvo Trucks Group, right? We had about one year we had 5 of our team members get internship with Volvo Trucks Groups out on the East Coast.
Wow.
Mercedes-Benz is there. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to do projects, to do hands-on projects, right? Hiring managers like people that have real-world skills, not just theoretical skills, not just so you can do stuff on paper, but if you can actually put, a hammer to a nail or a screwdriver to a screw and turn a wrench, that is huge. And one of the reasons I'm going to plug Chico State again is because they are such a big hands-on school. The projects there, every single class, it almost got too much, right? Every single class has a project. So you really get a chance to not only work in a dynamic environment with the team. Maybe you don't like everybody all the time, really teaching you those skills. But maybe one opportunity you'll have a chance to lead that team as well, right? And get the leadership skills. So if I can say one more thing, do stuff that's maybe not directly related to your field. Engineering obviously is a global sort of business. Learn a language. I'm learning Mandarin right now. Learn German.
Wow.
German is great for engineering, right? So get on a team, learn the skills that are going to give you leadership skills, give you process systems skills and things like that. So.
And I think one of our students had a question for you. My question is, did you get to ride in this thing? Did you get to drive it?
I did. I raced the first year. I raced in the 1 hour of a 4-hour event. And then the second year I did one of the dynamic suspension tests.
So cool. That's awesome.
It was the most fun I've ever had.
The suspension work you did you learn that at Fox Suspension?
No, actually, I learned that hands-on, taught myself everything I need to know, read books, went online, learned everything I need to know about suspension for this. Of course, the first year I was on it, I only did, this is our second year car. So the first year I just kind of remade the suspension that was on our car before this one. And so I used that one as sort of like a test bed that taught me a lot of things, and I was able to take that knowledge and transfer it to our second year car and make the full suspension. We make all of the parts on here. You can learn welding, TIG welding, machining. You'll spend a lot of late nights in front of the CNC machine. We do all of our composites. We make molds.
And you took classes. You took classes to learn this, or literally you just joined the team and this is the resources available to you and you jump in?
Yes, you just join the team. You teach yourself. You teach others. Others teach you from the year before. So as a first-year student, you're gaining a lot of information. It's like drinking from a fire hose. But then as you slowly, you get on. We have all subsystems, right? So every team has a subsystem, or every subsystem has a design team, right? And so you don't have to know the whole car. You can learn one thing, or you can jump between teams and learn a lot of things, right? If you want to learn how to weld, if you want to learn how to machine. We had a lot of guys never touched a machine before like this, never used a Haas. Learned the first year, watched, learned the second year, did. And then by the end of that second year, these guys can machine almost anything. They're pros in the industry. You can see we use Fox as a sponsor of the SE Baja event, so we get a lot of their parts for discounted. And it's really the most fun I've ever had in my life. Staying up till 4 a.m. the week of finals to get your car finished because you have to go race the next week is an amazing experience. You will never forget it.
Are you still in touch with your team?
I am. I'm in touch with a lot of these guys.
So lifelong friendships were made as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have to run. Did anybody have any questions for Aaron before we let him go? And maybe if you're willing to share your email address or some sort of, or LinkedIn or something, so that they can get in touch with you if you want.
Yeah, I can share my LinkedIn. It's got my email there.
Okay, if you put it in the chat, I think that works really well.
For sure.
Any questions for Aaron?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you find and join one of these clubs for building the racing go-kart?
So Chico has fall preview and spring preview day every year, where all of the clubs on campus come out and kind of display what they're working on, right? and then do a recruiting drive. So I knew I wanted to be on a team because I was on the Cabrillo Robotics Club. I saw how valuable an experience that was. I knew without a doubt that I needed to be on a team at Chico. I went around to every single engineering club that was on campus that day, the first day I got there, and this club was one of the only ones that actually was ready to take new members, right? Every other club was like, oh, we're still trying to get our stuff together. It's the first week, but the Baja team was like, yeah, sign up right here. We're having our first meeting next week and we're doing this and we're doing this. So I was like, okay, these guys are ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
Cool. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing your experience, and Johnny and Hector. I think Hector may have signed off a little earlier. It was really great to hear about, your journeys, all of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll see you, Johnny, Aaron, next week.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I have a quick question. Do you think it would be beneficial, and to the rest of the group too, do you think it would be beneficial? Did you like this kind of interaction, or would you prefer like a PowerPoint, maybe some slides or something? Or did you
No, I think this,
informal?
I like the informal and I like the photos. So those are really great. You don't have to do anything formal at all.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to give you guys the best possible experience.
No, so you'll be meeting with the other section of the same class next week, and they'll want to hear the same stuff. Just, exactly. So, yeah.
All right, yeah.
And Johnny, what's your wife's name?
Hi, it's Isa. Hi,
Isa.
Aaron.
Oh, Isa?
Yeah.
Hi.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. So we went to Cabrillo together.
Yes.
Oh, wow. How nice to see you.
You
Holy
too.
cow. You'll have
Look
to
at that.
you'll have to email me and we'll get in touch.
I know. I was
Small
listening.
world.
I was like, I finished mine Carl's class, and I came up with like, oh, that's Aaron. I know him.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Look at us, Engineering 5, bringing people together in all ways.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. This was really great to hear from you and get a real good inside look at what mechanical engineers do. So, okay, everybody, we are going to move on to the next part of our class.